It's episode 2 of the Creeper's Forge story. Even though I have some other stuff as well, as always. This is a little bit big. I'm kinda trying to understand the whole purpose of what I'm doing and all the reasons behind this. So the first part is understanding relationships is pretty important. I will repeat that over and over again. The brothers separate for some reason. That is a huge deal. You have to understand every separation. But at the same time, it's like they figure out that they don't have value together. The 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 5. So they try to search for their own place, just like Anthony leaving Smosh is trying to find what he could do without looking desperate or something. That was a cut of closing my window. I don't know how it looks like. It's actually pretty interesting to observe yourself. It's tough, man. It's one of those things that I don't remember the video name. CP Gray or something. He talked about happiness. How to be unhappy. And it's like, oh yeah, I don't give a fuck about unhappiness, by the way. I think I'm pretty okay right now. And there's definitely a lot of things to learn and just explore and whatnot. Alright, we have Fantastic Daily tuning up with his neighbor. Let's see what he has to say at some point. But yeah, the Anthony's just like, what the fuck? What the fuck is he doing? Yeah, CP Gray probably is. No, CGP Gray. Alright. So he talks about unhappiness. And you can reverse that. Sometimes it's a lot easier to reverse engineer things, because you might just get right where unhappiness is and treat it as happiness. But at the same time, it's like, oh, how to be the most unhappy. Do what Goronex does. Try to search for passion. Well, I don't think I have alternatives. And I'm still pretty okay with where I am right now. I'm still pretty okay. In fact, I'm thinking that having fans and being dedicated to something is a little bit too difficult. Especially when I know there's a big flaw in people's work. Not just storytelling, but the whole piecing up together into a story. Piecing up together into some kind of data map where everything you do is stored and compiled over time, which is pretty important, because then you know what's changed, then you can cover the news in the video, and that's the whole point. You're also looking for, I mean, I'm not really interested in following vloggers, but at the same time I know they're like pretty interesting. But one thing that strikes the most is like, yeah, I mean, you can't treat the vloggers as just storytellers. You do have to be pretty perceptive in order to understand what's going on in the background. Because mostly vloggers are probably not going to talk about their lives at all, or their emotions. It's kind of interesting, right? And you can say that Anthony Padilla is... Padilla. I'll just call him Padildo, because what the fuck. You can't just change your name for fuck's sake. It's stupid. If it is stupid, and people talk about it, and people like, oh man, I'm uncomfortable with that name. Can you please change that? So I wouldn't cringe. It's probably useful to do that. The same way it's useful to me not have a Lithuanian name when I don't fucking want to speak Lithuanian. But at the same time, I don't want to hide myself or anything. Yeah. There's a lot of things to fix. Alright, there's a lot of problems to solve. And the fact that we're not solving it means that we have other problems to solve. That something else is bothering us. And you can tell from how I behave in the direction I went, is that if you want to come back to the place where you try to question things, really question, because YouTube is filled with a bunch of answers that doesn't really know. I mean, with a bunch of people that try to answer the same things, but still don't get it. Still fucking don't get it, what the answer is. And I come back to the position where I do understand, for the most part, entire direction, what's supposed to happen. And so I should be able to also predict the future pretty well. So that's another thing. There was something interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm not bothered with anyone not caring. Yeah, so let's just finish up with that. What if you don't care? I mean, I don't care for a lot of vloggers out there, but I know they're good storytellers. If I wanted to learn something, I have to pick up something that's consistent, that's repetitive, and then I can go through it. At the same time, I mean, I don't want to just put out the game, because I know it's not going to have a huge effect. Even when you put out Hearthstone, people just want to kind of relate to developers, or relate to someone else who's making videos. And when it's becoming less and less Jesus Christ, I get stuck on the words so badly. It's like when I'm doing the vlog, I just can't. I mean, these are not supposed to be vlogs. This is like me putting out any opinion I can, and just being aware of myself. I mean, you can call that vlogs. Wow, I just got destroyed by these 2 days of work, I guess. See, again, let's come back. There is a problem with streamers, right? They might not respond to every comment out there, to every single person out there, and that's not cool. at the same time, you you create your identity, but you still have to maintain your identity the way you actually are. So I'm not sure how much that is, right? Having an uncut video is important, where you make mistakes, but you fine, I have to admit what mistakes I'm making, right? So basically every single time, the biggest story between all these 4 stories that I'm making is the story of me struggling about various things, of how I cannot really go forward because there are so many insecurities already, and the fact that people are in these positions, it is fun to explore, but you understand that there are no relationships there. You can't relate because out there are insecurities amplified so many times. You have to worry about so many other things, and it's incredibly difficult. Oh man. I mean, once you're in one direction and you never come back, you become just a spectacle. It's really annoying. I don't want to be going the way everyone else is going. So that's why I say I won't specialize. At the same time, I have to talk myself as early as possible before I make the data map, because I mean, I could still introduce people to the data map. It's very simple, no matter what I put into it. And if I put a lot of content outside of the data map, it's also a pretty fucking horrible idea. In fact, I'll have to figure out when is the exact moment where I have to work really hard for the data map, because I know that's the first thing I have to do. Like, making games is the last thing I have to do. Even though it's very entertaining. If I'll be entertained enough, of course. Of course. Yeah. That's pretty fucking fucked up. I mean, you understand why people cut videos in the first place. And you have to do it yourself. And there's so much training to do to actually perfect this bullshit. So much training. Like, behind the scenes, you can see the Creeper's Forge. Perhaps. Can we relate Creeper's Forge with the real life right now? There are these people, these unrelatable people, roaming around the internet, and you're like exploring. And you might, and the whole point is to explore into the Creeper's Forge, into the source of repetitiveness, because you'll see certain things are repetitive, and then you want to question why they're repetitive. And as a pattern recognition master degree, guys, I question things a lot. I try to find the source all the time. So finding the Creeper's Forge is like, that's what everyone has to do. And yet still, people separate even at that moment. Or sometimes people stay in there. I wonder how many people can actually stay there and re-engineer how things work. So more questions keeps on coming up, as if creepers get new and new behaviors all the time. And then it's like, these are just creepers. But then you start wondering who is behind this. Like every creeper becomes a message. They become unexpected. They become actually creepy. Because you can never know what are they gonna do next. This is a pretty good idea for the Creeper's Forge. And I'm full of good ideas. And as long as I keep on generating them, I just don't see the reason to kind of solidify myself a little bit too much. Yeah, one of the flaws of data map is that you know you're going to change a lot of the stuff. So perhaps what you can do is improve yourself first as much as possible. At the same time, it's like I'm creating data map. So I will need to be improved to do it efficiently. And I always knew I had a lot of flaws to deal with. I just never did it directly. I just split myself into two parts, even though I said a lot of times it's like people wearing masks, but at the same time I just can't get rid of mine as well. It's like I know it's stuck, but the whole point is trying to get rid of it and seeing where you're gonna end up. And the thing is like there are so many people on YouTube taking up the highlight. They try to stay in the highlight, right? It's like, oh, that's successful, but not really. Once you understand relationships, you understand that every single big YouTuber is going to be pushed out of the highlight, and they're going to be really depressed. But at the same time, it's like they will get something out of it, while at the same time it's like they do a lot of work as well. So there's a lot to explore. How do you get to the highlight? What do you get from the highlight? Like, what can you get from life in general at all? And why you should be passionate to work this hard? What is there to achieve? All these questions really are supposed to be fascinating. But the whole point is to be as real as possible. Something that people can relate, and at some point interact. Interaction is what makes a difference between YouTubers who are just showing things and actually interact. Care for any opinion, any hater, to whatever they have to say. And once they run out of things to say, that's when you can choose. Either throw the hater out or keep him in and keep it as a friend, because you already consumed the opinion and you say, well, that opinion is not bad, right? So that means it's useful. That means you have to keep a friend. This is the way you collect friends. You just listen to people's opinions about you. And I guess I never started doing that yet. The first time I did that was the creepiest moment ever. For both of us, I suppose. Because that's the first time I asked, what do you think about me? So yeah. Welcome to the Creeper's Forge.